My name is Thomas Trümper, working for the global project Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities. And before we are going to listen the great examples of BRAC and Enable India, I'm going to show you a couple of recent developments in German development cooperation that affects clearly the gender equality and inclusion of persons with disabilities in our project portfolio. Here there's an example of the portfolio in the field of education, TVET and employment promotion. You can see on the left hand side that we run nearly 151 projects across 102 countries worldwide. It's really a big project volume, one of the biggest in the GIZ portfolio. But when you look at the right-hand side, you can see that women and people with disabilities are not really addressed in a higher proportion. So only 11% of the projects are targeting women, and 5% of the projects are targeting people with disabilities. So relatively small amount. And it's a pity, of course, that is when we look at the past. That is from December 2022. And since then, a lot of things have happened on the political level at BMZ. And this is what I want to go through with you. First of all, of course, you know the feminist development policy, which has been introduced last year in March. I don't think that I have to go into detail on this. But what is relatively new is the Gender Action Plan, which was published in December, just 1 month ago. And this Gender Action Plan breaks down really the strategy, the feminist development policy strategy, and gives clear goals, indicators, guidelines, how really to implement the feminist development policy. And of course, the promotion of gender equality is at the forefront, but also the inclusion of persons with disabilities is a core element. And also there's an indicator, it's the last abstract here, or the paragraph, proportion of newly committed project funds that contribute to the inclusion and empowerment of people with disabilities. And that is very important for us at GIZ, because now we have the political guidance and the framework that allows us to program our TVET and employment promotion programs in a more inclusive way. The next important driver for more inclusive programming is the introduction of the OECD DAC marker on the inclusion and empowerment of persons with disabilities with effect of January this year. This is really a milestone, a game changer that we now have for every new project at GIZ that is commissioned by BMZ, or every change offer has to be assessed against this marker. Inc. 2 is having the inclusion of persons with disabilities as a core or principal objective. So that is really, really important for us, and BMZ expects an increase in inclusive projects, and this is also closely monitored. The next slide shows the published concept, human rights concept of the BMZ, the quality feature or performance profile for human rights, gender equality and inclusion. That has been introduced in 2023 in November. And this is really the core of the German development cooperation when it comes to human rights. It lays down principles as like non-discrimination, equal opportunities, participation, empowerment, and so on. So the focus lies on feminist approaches, gender equality, but also on the rights of persons with disabilities and rights of other marginalized groups. This concept and the performance profile is binding for all GIZ projects. It means that this is really the core mainstreaming approach that we are working with, and also in policy dialogues of BMZ with other partners, this human rights concept is binding and it will be applied also for other BMZ strategies. Yeah. And last but not least, the commitment of BMZ for being to implement a more inclusive development cooperation is the ownership or the hosting of the Global Disabilities Summit, which will take place next year, 2nd and 3rd April 2025 in Berlin. Germany, the BMZ is co-hosting this with Jordan and the International Disability Alliance. And this is, of course, like a global conference mechanism like the COP. Every 2-3 years, all the states and stakeholders gather together to advance the rights of the persons with disabilities in development cooperation. So there lies a huge political attention on it. And BMZ and other partners are looking for flagship initiatives and projects. So we are working closely with the BMZ to organize this summit. And having said this, to summarize, the political prioritizations and strategies, they are in place, as I showed you, for greater gender equality and inclusion of persons with disabilities. The realignment of the programming of the portfolio towards more gender equality has already taken place. With regards to the inclusion of persons with disabilities, we now, after the introduction of the disability policy marker, I guess, or we guess that this the increase of the projects that are inclusive will only become visible in the course of the next years. But we definitely expect an increase in inclusive projects here at GIZ. And we can see a high demand already from projects all over the world coming to us asking for advice on how to do inclusive programming in TVET and employment promotion projects.